All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. I am so excited about this. This is Dr. Elizabeth. She's joining me today. I wanted to pop on here and kind of introduce her. She is so amazing. And just a little bit about her. She had her own practice in Minnesota, and she's a chiropractor, and she graduated from what was it, Life University in Georgia. And she's really unique in the fact that she recognizes the body's innate intelligence. We say that chiropractors really do that, but she really does. She connects with the heart and the patient to physically and emotionally and energetically be able to figure out what the patient really needs. She's working on her master's degree in psychosomatic medicine at Psychosomatic University, and she is an excellent holographic manipulation therapist. I've seen many of her sessions, and all of her clients have outstanding results because of it. She lets her intuition guide her as to what direction she really needs to go to help the body heal. And that could be through supplements or homeopathics, or maybe you need body work or HMT or whatever the body needs. She's going to kind of go through an intuition to guide her on what the best things are for that client. So I'm really excited to talk to her today, let her kind of give you her background, tell a little bit about herself. And if you guys down below, if you have any questions for her, please pop them down, because we're going to come back on, I'm pretty sure, to do more question and answers for all of you. But this is a really good connection with Dr. Elizabeth and introduce you. So welcome. That was a really long explanation, but welcome. I'm so excited that you're with us.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited. Okay, a little bit about me. I grew up under chiropractic care. So I had chronic ear infections when I was little. Somebody convinced my dad to take us to a chiropractor. So I have a sister, two sisters, and somebody convinced my dad to take us to the chiropractor. So chiropractic resolved my ear infections. And then I stayed under chiropractic care throughout my whole life right now, because when I was growing up, I was a four-sport athlete. And so chiropractic kept me in all my sports. I think I maybe missed one game, and I was a top athlete. So I thought chiropractic wasn't for me. I thought I was going to be a physical therapist. And then in college volleyball, I tore my hip flexor and I did physical therapy. And I was like, ooh, no, this is not for me. And so I made the decision then that I was going to be a chiropractor. And I went home and told my chiropractor that I'd seen my whole life. And he said, Elizabeth, you were really stubborn. I knew you were going to be a chiropractor. And I was like, yeah, well, I had to come to it on my own. And so in chiropractic school, I found myself really sick. And it didn't make sense to me because I was like, I've always been adjusted. And most chiropractors preach that if you just adjust the spine, you're going to be fine, you're going to heal, and you're going to live a really good life. And I was like, how is this happening? I'm in chiropractic school. I've been adjusted my whole life. I'm still getting adjusted in school, and I still feel so sick. And then I found out I had an autoimmune disease. And what happened from there was like it cascaded into changing my diet. So I learned about nutrition, how that plays a role in the body. And then at the end of school is when I learned applied kinesiology and muscle testing, which was where I was then introduced to emotions. And I remember I had a wicked ear infection. I had gone to the ENT because I needed to get a tube that was permanently put in when I was young out of my ear. And what they did is they put oil in my ear, and then it ended up actually creating a wicked ear infection that just like nothing would touch it. And I was very against medication, but I'm like, I don't know what else to do. And then my intern doctor was the one that cleared an emotion on me. He's like, Elizabeth, if medication's not working, supplements aren't working, there's something else going on. And he cleared one emotion that was attached to when I was 7 years old. And like my 10 out of 10 ear pain just went away. And I
Wow.
was like, what did you just do? And so from there, I just went on and started studying myself because I was only 6 months away from graduating, studying myself all about emotions, feelings, how they are resonating in the body, where they're stored in the body, and then just took that into my practice. And so I've had that, and then I learned homeopathy right when I graduated because I ended up with this like 10-day flu that I could not get over after graduating chiropractic school. And everyone kept telling me, like, oh, it's just stress, you're stressed from that. And I was like, no, this is the flu. I don't know what else to do. And I saw somebody who gave me a homeopathic tincture, and I went like overboard on it, but I instantly felt better the next day.
Yeah.
And I was like, this was 10 days long, and now it's like the next day, and I'm so much better with one homeopathic remedy. So from there, I started going into homeopathy. And then I learned about morphogenic field technique, which is your energy field. And as a chiropractor, I care about the integrity of your nervous system, and your energy field's an extension of that. So from there, I like wasn't a normal chiropractor at all. I was dealing with emotions, dealing with homeopathy. And then I started talking about this morphogenic field around you. And it was like over everyone's head.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's okay though, because I just started my practice. So nobody has this belief system in place that I'm just going to adjust your spine. Because when they say, oh, you adjust spines, I'm like, well, yes, but that's not really what I do. So I built my practice off of this morphogenic field technique and started incorporating all other things with it. And so when I first started, though, I'd be like, here's what's going on in your body. Here's a protocol. I need you to take this. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how long it's going to work, etc. And then when I started to dive more into body feelings and emotions and started to really work with your subconscious mind, I started seeing like instantaneous results because somebody could come in and dose for like a normal homeopathic remedy from the company that I use is 60 drops. So 30 morning, 30 night. And sometimes I would dose them before I would start doing clearings on the subconscious, and it'd be like 120, 190 drops. And I was like, oh, this first isn't sustainable.
Right.
And then you're going to be in my office a lot. So I was like, there's got to be a better way. And then I would start to do clearings on people, working with the subconscious and making it conscious to them. And then at the end of a 30-minute session or 45-minute session, I'd see the 190 drops drop down to like 25 drops.
Wow.
And so I would start doing that. And then within the last 3 years, I would make sure that the energies that I was using to reading your field were shut off before you left my office. And so sometimes just doing like a simple clearing on someone's going to shut a lot of them off, but other times it's like there's one that's still really stuck. And so I never would let anyone leave my office with those energies attracting, because then it was like, I'm not doing my job as a healer. And then I would use homeopathy. Sometimes people did need nutrition. And then what really set my practice apart was the flower essences in 2020. So I started working with a company for flower essences, which is why I moved to Arizona. And then let's see, I met you guys in 2022? Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
And so then like the super stuck, stubborn stuff that I could not get to clear on people is when I started to incorporate all the stuff that I learned through holographic manipulation and the psychosomatic medicine. And some of my like chronic people, like I just do that and they're like, what did you just do to me? And I was like, I just asked you questions. I asked your body, I asked your subconscious, and you were the one giving me the answer. So you're the one that did it. You're the one that's healing yourself. And it's like super rewarding, I think, on the patient's end or the client's end when they understand that like it's themselves doing the healing and I'm just there to facilitate, guide, and work through whatever the barriers are. Then they take responsibility. they show up, they stay on maintenance care because they know the way that I explain it, and this is how they know it, is if you think about your month, just the month in general, and you look at your calendar and you're like, soccer practice, baseball, all these things, you've got a whole month that's not only dedicated to yourself, to your family, to your kids, to your pets. And you look at that, and it's like taking inventory of all the things that are happening. Think about how much junk and garbage gets stuck in our system. And so when you do that, and then you come in for your maintenance monthly session, we're clearing that. So you're not bringing that on. But so if you think about January through December, you start in January. If you're not doing clearings on yourself or healings, come December when the holidays come, you're just tanked.
Yep.
You
Yep.
can't handle anything. And then you're crabby, you're grouchy. You're like, I don't even want to participate in the holiday things. But if you work on yourself monthly and just clear stuff, you're going to be so much lighter, so much more expansive, have so much more joy and time and energy to give to the people that you really want to give to.
Yep.
And so they're responsible, they take accountability, they show up. And then if they miss a session, they can feel it because it's like, oh, wow, I went way too long. And I like to play around with people when they've been with me long enough. I'm like, we can go 5 weeks and see how you feel. You can go 6 weeks, see how you feel. And people, most of my people are like 4 to 6 weeks. My chronic people, though, are like every 3 to 4 weeks because it's just like we ought to get to that root of everything that's going on. But they feel so much more lighter and they can just experience so much more joy in their lives.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's like a little bit about my backstory. And then the only other thing I would add is I have 2 dogs. One of
Yes.
them is Aurora, and she was my first rescue. She lives in the country with my parents full time, because the riots in Minneapolis in 2020 really traumatized her. So I'm like beyond grateful to my parents for taking her because she gets to live on 5 acres, 900 people
Peaceful.
in the hometown. So she gets to be like free and just like lay in the sun and just be like a dog
Oh,
versus being hyper vigilant and afraid of everything. And so it was last year around this time, I was home visiting Aurora and I took her snowshoeing and it was really cold. It was like maybe 10 degrees. And I was like, I did not think properly. I did not dress properly. Aurora's like paws are cold and she's 65 pounds. So I'm like, I can't really carry you on snowshoes. My mom said to me, Elizabeth, when are you getting another dog? And I go, I'm not, Mom. I've been through a lot with Aurora and I really don't want to go through any of that again. And so I had this whole plan about how I was going to have another dog in my life. And then sure enough, 2 weeks later, I had done a prayer at night and I was just like, I need another purpose in my life other than my work. I love my work, but when I come home at night, I need another purpose. And so it was like, get a dog. And I'm like, no, no, not getting a
wait.
dog. I literally just told my mom 2 weeks ago, I'm not getting a dog. And so I hopped on the rescue where I rescued Aurora from. And here was my dog now. Its name is Luna, but her name on the rescue was Hillary. And like there she was. And I started crying because I knew in my heart she was mine.
Mhm.
And in my head, I'm like, what are you doing? You're running a practice by yourself. You don't want another dog. How is
Right?
this going to work? It is January in Minnesota. And we
Oh my
already
goodness.
got probably like 30 inches of snow at that point. I'm like, what are you doing? And not that I don't like the cold, I'm not a fan of the cold. I am such a warm person and I love the sun. But I will go out in the cold, all of that. And so I'm like, what are you doing, Elizabeth? What are you doing? And so I got on my Peloton and then I got in my sauna and I start filling out the application. And I'm like, who are
What
you
am I
right now?
doing?
So I hit submit, I text my mom and I was like, I'll put in an adoption or an application for Hillary. And I couldn't get a hold of her because I really needed her to answer that, like, she could watch my dog because I had trips planned. But so I couldn't get a hold of her and I was like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. And so sure enough, I got her. We did a meet and greet, and then I changed her name to Luna, and I rescued her on Valentine's Day.
Oh,
And I still, for the first couple months, I'm like, what are you doing, Elizabeth? Because then I got an in-home trainer to make sure I wouldn't have any issues with noise sensitivity, all of that I did with Aurora. And I'm just like, this is exhausting. Like, I'm a dog mom, and now I'm running my practice, which is bigger than when I was running the practice with Aurora. And I'm just like, what are you doing, Elizabeth? And then it's like in the summer, and I look back and I'm like, oh my gosh, Luna, you're the best thing that happened to me, because I don't know how I would have survived all the changes that I was going
right,
through without her. And
right.
so I would just like look at Luna and be like, Mommy loves you so much. I'm so grateful. I was like, I rescued you, but really you like
Yeah,
rescued me.
they
And
do.
and so she has just been like the greatest joy in my life. And so she's here in Phoenix with me full time. And you might hear them on the call. I don't hear them right now, but they're up front and they may start barking at some point. But yes, I have like this deep unconditional love for my dog. And I'm so excited about the virtual stuff, because even though she goes with me everywhere, she's in my office with me,
Oh,
she's still like being at home feels very different than being in an office setting with her.
uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
she'll pop in on the sessions, or I might show you her on the sessions. I'll be like, here's Luna. She wants to say hi. She just loves me so much that she's like always here.
Yep.
But I usually like I will run her so she's like sleeping. But I want to let people know that, you're going to see a dog in the sessions, or you're going to hear her, because she just likes to be known, and she's just
Yes.
so sweet. So she's like a 40-pound Rottweiler pit bull mix, and she's just
Wow.
so beautiful.
She is.
And I'm like, how did I get so lucky with these like two beautiful dogs that are rescue? Because you just
Uh-huh.
never
Yeah.
know. Because
Hmm.
you can put in an application and you could be like the fifth one on the list, and you're just like, you don't get it because somebody
Yep.
else ahead of you did.
Right.
So yeah, I want to share that. I have two dogs. One
Yep.
lives with me, and she'll pop in, she'll make herself known. But that's a little bit about me.
That is so awesome. What do you and Luna like to do on your free time?
Mm. Yeah, so Luna is, the way I describe her is she's an Energizer bunny. She just goes, 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 goes. And you think she would be tired. And then all of a sudden it's like, we're ready to go. So her and I do a lot of hiking, which is great in Arizona. We did a 2.5 hour hike one day, and I was like, you're gonna be tired. And then
She
I
was.
messaged one of my friends here and I said, hey, you want to get coffee and walk the canal? So there's a canal in Arizona that goes all the way from Phoenix to Scottsdale. And I'm sure it goes larger than that, but my friend's in Scottsdale, which is 20 minutes. And
Mhm.
so I'm like, I'll meet you for coffee. We can walk the canal. Luna's gonna be tired. So we don't have to worry about like her pulling, because she just
Right.
pulls, pulls, pulls on the leash. And I was dead wrong. She goes, you would never know you did a 2.5 hour hike today, Elizabeth.
Oh my gosh.
And so we did an hour walk on the canal. And I was like, you got to be tired, girl. And then we came home and I went to a holiday party and I brought her. And there was another dog there. And her dog, or sorry, her and the other dog played for an hour.
Oh
And I
my.
was like, what, who are you right now? And then the next day is when she like finally slept. But I think we did an hour hike still out the next
Wow.
day. And so she's 16 months old, but I'm like, she's an Energizer bunny. And then I kind of like tapped in and I was like, is this how I am? Am I just like a
Uh,
go, 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 go person? And I was like, oh, we're perfect for each other,
uh-huh.
because it's not that I don't like to sit still. I'll sit still, I'll do my meditation, all of that stuff. But I'm someone that's like, I like to move, I like to be active. And so I was like, I really did get the best dog,
Uh-huh.
because she like you can't sit still with her. You gotta do stuff. So we hike, and then there's a pet store. She goes in, she loves car rides. So we're always in the car together. She's got a dog bed in the front seat and a blanket in the
Cute.
back. So
Cute.
she's spoiled. She does not know how to sit in the back when someone else is in front.
Because it's her seat.
And I was like, I'm so sorry. I did this to her. I put a dog bed in the front seat. So this is my fault. So I will deal with this. And then I take her to the park every day too, so she gets to run. And that's the other thing I learned with hiking with her is I take her to the park for 30 minutes and run her on long lead. And then I'm like, maybe she won't pull me as much. And I'm like, no, it still doesn't work. So she goes just go, 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 go. But it's okay because I love it. I'm super active. I have an aura ring because of her. I had it beforehand, but it was interesting. I used to do about 7 miles a day before I got her.
Wow.
And then now it is at like 10, 12,
Oh,
14 miles a day because of just like how much she moves. And so it's a little different in Arizona because in Minneapolis, we would have a 2.5 mile loop that we would do twice a day, on top of like just being at the office. And here she's like, I like the neighborhood, but like it's not that fun. So we have to like go out and do
Yeah.
hikes, which is good because it gets us out, it gets us meeting people as well.
Mhm.
And then it's just like walking at the park. So
Yeah. Well, that's so fun. I know I visited Arizona several years ago and it was absolutely beautiful. So I can only imagine the trails that you guys go on.
yes.
But I bet that does keep you guys busy.
Yes. And it was one of our first trails, our hikes here. I was like super proud of myself for like venturing out of like my comfort zone.
Uh-huh.
And we're on this trail and we see another pit bull coming and she gets all excited. And so I asked the owner, can they say hi? And they said hi and they were playing. But then there's a thing called a jumping cholla cactus and it
Oh.
spits a ball of cactus out when you're too close. And so it got in the other dog's paw and
Oh
got in
no.
Luna's paw.
Oh.
And so I was actually like reading about the spiritual meaning of it, and it's all about initiation of creating a new life. And
Oh.
it was a lot for me because it was inner paw. And so we were
Oh.
trying, I didn't have any tools. I like tried to grab it with my hands, got the cacti
Mm.
stuck in my fingers.
Yeah.
Somebody gave me tweezers, so we were able to pull it out. But I carried Luna for about a mile until we ran
Oh.
into somebody who had this tool to start to pluck it out. And I was like, Luna, what was that about? I don't understand. And then I was like, I need to look up the meaning of this
Uh-huh.
cholla. And it was all about like initiation of a new life or creating like a new path. And I was like, okay, we are initiated to the desert. We do not need any more like poisonous snakes, poisonous
Oh,
insects. I'm
no.
good with just this experience. And so that then led me to like really being like, okay, I have to get all the gear for hiking so I'm prepared
Mhm.
because I didn't even know about this cholla cactus. And then I look and I'm like, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So now I'm prepared. I have all my hiking gear and we have not had an incident like that again. But I was like, Luna, mommy's arms, like I'm in shape, and mommy's arms like are sore because I had to like keep her from trying to lick it as well.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 40 pounds in the
Oh.
mountain is not fun to carry a dog. And
Mm-mm.
so then the lady that I met, I was like, you are an angel sent from God right now because I don't think I would have made it back the next mile and a half on this
Oh
hike.
my gosh.
So that was really interesting, but we haven't had anything like that since. And we've done a bunch of hiking. So I'm like, okay, we're good, Luna. We're good.
We passed the test. We're good.
Yes, yes. And then I even checked in with her and I was like, are you afraid to hike? Are you good to hike? And she was like, I want to go again, mom. And I'm like,
Let's do it.
we're going because like we don't really get a choice. Like you either
Right.
stay at home or you come with me. So, and she's enjoying the less harsh of a winter
Oh, yes.
compared to, I think last week, what it was like -30 with wind chill.
Oh my
So
word.
I'm like,
Yeah.
we're doing really well in Arizona.
We're enjoying the sun.
Yes. And I was like, we'll see how you feel about the 120 degrees this summer, but you're gonna
Right?
be
Oh gosh.
fine.
Yeah.
I was
You're gonna have
here
to get some like paw protection because
right.
the sidewalk will be way too hot.
Yes. I was here this summer for 10 days during that heat span
Oh
and
yeah.
I loved every minute of it. I was
It's
like,
a
oh,
different heat, isn't
it
it?
is.
It's more
It's
dry.
super dry. So you get you get burned really fast. That was like where I had some mistakes. But you're not like dripping in sweat and humidity,
Uh-huh.
and it's not hard on your lungs.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the people that are native here are like, we don't go outside in this weather. And so
Wow.
I was at a conference and we came back and I was like, I'm gonna come over and meet you guys at the pool after I grab a coffee. And they're all in the shade. And I'm like, I'm not gonna be rude, but I'm gonna go sit in the sun. And they're just like, who are you? You're not from here. We don't do that. And I'm like, no, this feels amazing. And I was like, but you don't understand, we don't get sun in the
Right.
winter. And I was like, I have to get all the vitamin D I need at this
That's
point. And
right.
so at that point, I didn't know I was moving to Arizona, or like I knew in my heart I was moving, but I didn't know when. And so they're like, yeah, what are you doing? You're not from here. We don't do that. And I was like, what do you mean this is heaven? So I will love the heat this summer.
Yes.
And I think like I have a patio that's covered. So I think Luna will really love it because she'll be able to be outside on like a dog bed and still in the shade.
Yeah.
But I was like, we'll see how you feel about summer, sweetheart.
Oh, goodness.
Mm,
Okay, so what about do you have any like client testimonies for people that have gone through a session, or what you have you've dealt with in any kind of session that you've done?
yeah. So the sessions that I do, I pretty much leave it open. Like I'll get your intake form right and I'll go over that and review it. But the way I preface it to people is you're going to have stuff that comes up that may be on your intake form or it may not be. And it's like, it's what needs to be dealt with that day of the call or that day of the session. And so sometimes, like when I do sessions with Dr. Gabe, I'm like, what do I want to do today? And I'm like tuning in and I'm like, no, no. And I was like, I don't even know why I'm thinking about this right now because it actually doesn't matter because as soon as I'm about to hop on the call, it like is downloaded in
Right.
my system, like what I'm gonna
Something
do.
different. Yep.
So I always kind of ask people like, how's your day? What's going on? What's new? What do you want to focus on? And then most people just kind of like word vomit out stuff and they're like, I don't know why I just said all of that. I'm like, it's okay. Because that's really what we got to like find the root of
Yeah.
all of that attached together. Um, so a lot of times people after they like tell me what's going on, it'll be about like getting triggered with relationships, people in their family, their friends, at work situations. I deal a lot with like body image, weight stuff, aches and pains in the body too. Or it's just like this feeling of maybe like not fitting into society or like not fitting into your family. And then some people do come in with immune stuff. And so we can go after the feeling around the immune thing. So it's always going after the feelings. So it really doesn't matter what you're coming in with because we have to go after the body feeling that you have that isn't resonating with your system. And so that's where I will preface like, I want you to close your eyes. I want you to think about this relationship with your mom, your dad, your sister. And when that comes on, or when you think about everything with them, where do you feel like unsettled, uneasy, or ickiness in your system? Because that's where we're actually going. And it's through that relationship that we're going to get to the root of it. But I
Mhm.
could easily say, think about when you're driving and you get upset. Where do you feel that? And you imagine yourself in the car driving, you're like, oh, right here. And it's like, okay, well, then we're going to go after that. So I'll use words to like trigger and activate stuff in your system based off of what you say. And our conscious mind is like, oh, it's my mom. That's the issue. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, if it was the issue, we'd have that handled by now. So we're going to
Yeah.
go after the feeling about it because there's a feeling you have deep inside of you that we need to change. And then when you think about your mom again at the end, it's like, oh, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Um, so does that kind of answer the question?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely. Yeah.
perfect. Yeah,
Um,
so there's like a lot of different things that you could bring to me. It doesn't have to just be like, oh, I'm going to focus on your body image or your weight or knee stuff. It can be I have anxiety, I have depression. And those are all labels, you know, that
Mhm.
you've been given. And so it's really also um, detaching the association with the label, because
Yeah.
what you are is you're a soul that has
Mhm.
infinite potential. We just have to re-remember it. And so
Yes.
it's taking that off, and it's like, well, I'm Elizabeth, sure, but actually like I'm a soul
Mhm.
who's infinite. And how does that change then when compared to when you just say I'm Elizabeth? Or you can say I'm
Yes.
a doctor, great, but behind the doctor, you're still an infinite soul. So it's like when you change that verbiage and wording, you actually like open yourself up to more possibilities and more potential, because you're like, oh, I'm a soul and I'm allowed to have everything and anything I ever wanted. But it's those beliefs and
Yep.
the programming from our childhood
Mhm.
or passed down through the lineage that we
Yep.
have to get rid of so you can really be in alignment with that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. What is one tip that you could give our viewers today?
Yes. So my favorite tip to tell people is you are your best investment.
Yeah.
So if something in your life isn't where you want it to be, we need to stop playing victim and stop blaming other people and start to take accountability and responsibility. And the way we do that is through choosing ourselves and actually healing ourselves, because nothing will change if you don't work on yourself. It's like, I have had so many people come into my practice and they say it's their kids have this issue. I'm like, but your kids mirror everything back to you. So I can work on your kids and they're going to get better, but deep down, they're still mirroring everything that's going on with you. So it's not going to be 100%.
Yeah.
So then we need to work on you. And I get, as a parent and as society, it's like, we got to take care of our kids. And it's like, of course you do. Like, our kids have to be taken care of,
Yeah.
but you have to take care of yourself.
Yep.
So you're full and you can give more into your children or your relationship, your spouse, etc. Because if you just keep giving, 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 then you're drained. And then all of a sudden it's going to be you're super chronically ill and it's going to take so much longer to heal.
Yeah.
So my like always best advice is you got to start working on yourself, whether that's just like getting into one daily habit of being better, like setting a reminder on your phone to do some deep breathing or meditate or just go for a walk. And then when you're ready to like start to do the deep stuff, then you can, hop on a group session, go on one-on-ones, anything like that. But it's like you are your best investment. And the only way that you serve the world is by showing up as your best self.
Yep.
And so it's funny, the more that I work on myself, the
Hmm.
better I can serve my clients, my patients, and the happier I am doing it. And
Yeah.
then I've never felt like after a session with anyone, like, I'm so tired.
Right.
I don't like this. I have always been revitalized, even when I was like chronically sick. But it just is like, it's so much easier. I'm like, oh, wow, I have like way more energy now
Yeah.
compared to before because I just keep clearing garbage in my system. That's not really my true essence.
Right.
And then it just like when you clear stuff too, your whole paradigm and reality shifts.
Hmm.
And you don't realize it until you start doing it. And so um I'm a firm believer that we create our own realities. And so by just shifting certain things and instead of looking out to other people as the issue, it's like I'm going to take responsibility for how I showed up in this relationship.
Hmm.
And I want to change that. And then that's also going to change the dynamic of that relationship because you just shifted your own frequency and vibration that it's no longer a match for what you were playing on.
Yeah.
Um, and so people are like, oh, I'm old. It's just that way. And I'm like, no, no, that's victim consciousness.
Yep.
And um, as a society, we're told that because then we give our power away and we're like, oh, I guess this is as good as life can be. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
you were meant for so much more than that. And I mean, I've played victim so much in my life. I understand that. And then it's like, oh, radical responsibility shifts your life. And you're like, how did maybe I obligated that person to do that to me because that was a pattern that I learned in childhood to survive. And it's
Right.
like, oh yeah, well now I can shift that because now I just made that subconscious conscious and I'm aware of it and we can shift that. And so once you step out of that victimness, you're like empowered, you're in your body, you're sovereign, and like nothing can stop you then
Yes.
because you're just like, oh wow, I have the power to heal. I'm responsible for this. And it's interesting because as a healer, people are like, well, why do you tell people that? Because then they're not going to come to you. And I'm like, no, they're going to come because I'm going to help facilitate and guide them,
Yeah.
not like disempower them.
Yeah.
As you know, a lot of times people get told that through the medical system.
Hmm.
And, you know, the medical system has a time and place. Um,
Absolutely.
but it's like, no, you need to be empowered and you're in charge of your own healing. And I will help not heal you. I'll help guide you and facilitate it and witness the healings so
Yeah.
that you know it's all within you.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It's a shift in our paradigm that we're trying to work on because
Yeah.
like you said, in school, in our medical society, in just society in itself, it's always an outside source telling us that we either can't do it, we're not good enough, or you're, like you said, too old, or you don't have enough money, or you're not pretty enough, or all these things that put us in this little confinement.
Yeah.
And once we get rid of that, it's extremely freeing. And you like happiness becomes on a different level. Like
Yes.
I'm more happy now than I've ever been in my life. And I didn't even think this kind of happiness was available. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah.
Like working on yourself really improves your immune system. It
Yes.
improves all the cells within your body. It improves, like you said, your relationships. And just you see life differently.
Yeah.
You don't become fearful
Yeah.
of propaganda or just the lies that were
Yeah.
all told.
Yeah.
You can kind of see them now. And it's like, I wish every single person would be able to go through some kind of session or some kind of transformation,
Right.
be able to open that door for them because
Yeah.
it's completely enlightening.
It's so interesting. Like the way I phrase it to people when they think about their immune system, right? Because as a chiropractor, we're all told getting adjusted boosts your immune system, and that's scientifically proven. And so, in a session I did the other day with a lady in my own practice, she had nervous system show up, she had spleen, and then she had immune response. And so I said, you know, you can go after the immune system and you can boost your immune system naturally. It's going to help. But if you don't take care of the underlying issue within the spleen, which can be like emotions and feelings of worry, um, helplessness, lack of control, nervousness, and those are just like a few examples. If you don't go after that, every time you're worried about something, your immune system tanks.
Right.
And it's like if you're in a constant state of worry instead of having faith and trust that everything is working out the way it's supposed to, your immune system's going to go down. And then all of a sudden you're going to get sick and you're going to be like, why did I get sick? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not because so and so has a virus and gave it to you, or
Right.
so and so has a bacteria and gave it to you. It's like, no, your immune system did because your feelings around everything going on from your childhood programming is what allowed your immune system to be susceptible.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're just not feeling well. And
Yep.
so it's that whole shift there around, like you said, once you start to do the inner work, you're no longer in this worry or you use fear, you're no longer operating in fear and you're just like, oh, wow, yeah,
Yep.
that's what they're doing today. It's
Okay.
like you're
Okay.
neutral and
Yep.
impervious to it. And it's
Yes.
like you can see it. And there is, you know, the duality in the world, the good and the bad. But it's like, how much are you focusing on the bad? Because there's so much beauty in the world.
Oh yeah.
And if we're not, you know, able to see it, we're going to be focused on that. And I mean, I like to tell people I was a fear-laden child. I was
Me
afraid of
too.
everything. It
Yes.
was like, fear this.
Yeah.
I was like hyper vigilant around everything within my nervous system. And now I'm like, oh, I'm safe. Like,
Right.
I have the discernment within me to know, like, that's not a safe
Yeah.
situation because
Hmm.
the feelings tell me, my intuition, my gut feelings let me know, like, don't go that way. Okay,
Yeah.
choose a
We're going
different
this
way.
way. Yeah.
And it's not like, what's going to happen type of energy or like, oh my gosh, what am I going to walk into?
Yeah.
And so then you even walk around in your day-to-day life. You're not like hunched over, you're
Yep.
not sad, depressed, or you're not fear
Yeah.
anxious and like tight and restricted in your system. And so even by releasing that, you can see and witness the whole musculoskeletal fascial system change in the
Yes.
body. Because it's like the lady I was working on yesterday, I was actually feeling energetically distantly her stomach and I was working on it. And then all of a sudden I got the download of what needed to go into her stomach. And she was like, and it was just like, I'm like, oh my God, my stomach, it feels so much better. And she's like, yeah, I can breathe again. And I was like, I didn't even know you had an issue breathing. And she was like, yeah, I internalized so much pressure. And that's what I've been holding within my stomach. Um, and so those are like little nuggets too. Like I'll just be working on someone and I'm like, oh, this is what we're gonna do next. And it's like, well, how'd you know that? I'm like, it was just downloaded into my system because
Hmm.
I'm always connected to creator, God, source, universe, spirit, whatever resonates with you. And when I get like the God nudge, I just go with it. And then they're like, that was exactly what we needed to do. Um, and yeah, like you said too, the amount of happiness you experience is like, "Ah,
Yeah.
I thought I was
Right.
happy before." And I'm like, whoa. And like I always say, I love my life in Minneapolis, but I deeply, truly love my life here. And I'm like, how is that even possible? I
Right.
love my life. I didn't actually want to give up my life in Minneapolis, but I knew I needed to move here. And now I'm like, whoa, this is like wild. How do you experience like even more bliss, joy, happiness, and
Mm.
love? But when you're on the right path and doing the work, it's just what comes natural with it. It's the natural response to healing.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, I just, I'm super grateful for all of the tools, techniques that I had, and then really using holographic as like the punch to
Yeah.
really get the subconscious to like do what it needs to get rid of or
Mhm.
remove what it needs to get rid of.
Right. Right. How exciting. This is so great.
Yeah.
Is there anything before we close? Is there anything else that you want to tell our viewers?
The only thing I would say is like if there's something that you want offered, just
Mhm.
let us know
Yes.
because I am going to offer group sessions,
Yes.
one-on-ones, family sessions. But
Yes.
if you've got an idea where you want like a weekend workshop or a seminar or something, just let us know.
Yeah.
Because that is what I'm gonna be offering is like something completely different than Dr. Gabe.
Yep.
Because it's just, yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I'll still be offering one-on-ones. But then if there's something else that you just like think of, or you're like, I would like to know this, or I want a class on this, just put it in the comments and then
Yeah.
we'll figure out how to do that.
Yes, absolutely. We've got so many exciting things coming, especially in 2024. Of all the things that you just said, group sessions and classes, and it's going to be amazing. So I'm going to put Dr. Elizabeth's link below for all of
Perfect.
you to start scheduling consultations with her, get to know her, let her look at your paperwork, and kind of feel what direction you want to go with treatments. And like she said, if there's anything that you are wanting, let us know because we are extremely open to providing everything that our viewers are wanting and just trying to heal, our world one person at a time
Yes.
and
Yes.
just making a big difference in 2024.
Perfect.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yes.
Elizabeth,
Thank
for
you.
joining me today. We're going to probably do this again sometime because I'm sure that our viewers are going to have more questions, and pop those down below and we'll get connected. And we look forward to seeing everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiffany.